Picture this. Dawn in a quiet Tokyo park. A woman in her 90s leans forward and calmly touches her toes, then stands without a sound. No wobble, no grabbing a bench, no grimace. Meanwhile, many of us in our 60s feel stiff just trying to tug on a sock. What's going on? Today, I want to show you a simple nightly routine drawn from habits common in Japan that helps older adults move with ease. No gadgets, no bravado, just 5 gentle movements you can do in your bedroom in about a dozen minutes. We'll talk about why moving right before sleep seems to help your joints feel less creaky by morning, how to do each motion safely, and which one looks so odd at first that Western clinicians used to shrug it off until they noticed how relaxed and mobile people felt the next day. If you've been thinking, it's too late for me, stay with me. Your body still learns. Your nervous system still adapts. And with the right signals, stiffness doesn't have to be your story. Before we dive into the practical steps, let's clear up one myth. Flexibility isn't about forcing your body into shapes. It's about teaching your brain and tissues that a position is safe. When your nervous system senses safety, muscles let go of unnecessary bracing. Joints glide instead of grind. At night, your core temperature drifts lower and your mind prepares for rest. 2 reasons gentle movements can feel easier and sink in deeper. Think of this routine as a nightly rinse for your connective tissue and a reset for your posture. You're not stretching yourself younger. You're guiding fluid to where it needs to go, coaxing tight fascia to reorganize, and reminding stiff areas how to move again. Do not worry about perfect form. We'll keep it comfortable, slow, and breath-led. If you have significant arthritis, osteoporosis, a recent surgery, or concerns about circulation, you'll check with your clinician and adapt. Otherwise, a mat, a wall, and curiosity are enough. The first movement is a forward fold on the floor, seated with legs extended. It's simple, but it sets the tone. Sit on a folded blanket if your hamstrings tug. Bend your knees a little if your back complains. Sit tall, like someone is gently lifting the crown of your head with a string. Walk your hands along your thighs toward your shins, then pause where your body says, "This is enough." No bouncing. Let your exhale soften the back of your legs and the line of muscles along your spine. Picture your sit bones widening and your belly resting over your thighs. I like to count slow breaths instead of seconds. About 20 to 30 smooth breaths is perfect. If your hands reach your knees, wonderful. If you meet your ankles in a few weeks, also wonderful. What matters is the message: safe, steady length. People often notice an easier reach to the floor, a calmer lower back, and less morning cardboard feeling when they make this a ritual. Comfort over heroics. A small pillow under your knees can turn a grimace into a sigh of relief. I want you to notice how the breath shapes the experience. As you inhale, feel your back widen. As you exhale, imagine your tailbone sliding back behind you. This turn of mind keeps the fold from becoming a collapsed curl and turns it into a long, gentle drape. If your hamstrings feel like piano wires, try placing a strap or towel around your feet, holding the ends in your hands and keeping your elbows soft. That little assist lets your shoulders relax so the lower back can lengthen. If getting down to the floor is tricky right now, you can sit on the edge of your bed with your heels on a stool or stacked pillows. Same idea, less demand. With consistency, the nervous system starts to categorize this shape as familiar, not threatening. That's when the magic happens. The tug lessens, the breath deepens, and your spine feels less like a broomstick and more like a living thing. Next comes a lying spinal twist. It looks like resting, and in a way, it is. Lie on your back with both knees bent and feet on the floor. Let your arms open at your sides. Gently let both knees tip to one side as your head turns the opposite way, keeping your shoulders heavy and your jaw soft. Pause there for a minute or two, breathing into the ribs that feel pressed toward the ceiling. Then switch sides. Do not pull or crank. The purpose is to let the small muscles along the spine and between the ribs stop guarding. Many older adults are surprised to feel their breath expand sideways into the stretched rib cage. That's a sign the intercostal muscles, teeny workhorses we ignore, are waking up. If your knees don't like touching, tuck a pillow between them. If your lower back arches uncomfortably, slide a folded towel under your waist. Think melting instead of twisting, and wait long enough for your body to realize nothing bad is happening. That's when you'll feel a subtle drop, like your torso settling onto the mat. What can you expect here? Often, a gentler turn of the head the next day, easier reaching into a back seat, less hitch in your walk when you pivot. The twist is not about being a pretzel. It's about returning rotational movement to your spine and torso, which modern chairs quietly steal from us. If your shoulders pop off the floor when your knees fall to the side, lessen the range. If your hip flexors grip, bring the knees closer to your chest before you tip them. The breath is your teacher. Slow and low is a go. Shallow and tight means you wandered too far. People tell me this one feels like wringing out stale tension and pulling in fresh air. That's a lovely image to keep. If you do just one thing to help your back feel less compressed after a day of gravity, this soft twist would be a contender. Now we mobilize the spine on all fours with a rhythmic movement you probably saw babies do without instruction. Place your hands under your shoulders and knees under your hips, or rest on your forearms if wrists protest. As you inhale, let your belly hang a touch and broaden your collarbones, letting your tailbone tilt up. As you exhale, press the floor away and round your spine, tummy gently in, tailbone curling under, chin tucking lightly. Keep it fluid, like a wave traveling from your tail to your head, then back again. 2 minutes of unhurried cycles is enough. The goal isn't a maximum arch or hollow, it's segmentation, asking each vertebra to participate instead of asking 2 or 3 to do all the work. Many older adults report less morning stiffness, a clearer head, and steadier balance when this becomes habit. The body loves rhythm. Your spinal cord and the fluid around it respond to motion like this with a sense of, ah. A few practical notes make this movement kinder. Place a folded towel under your knees if they're sensitive, and spread your fingers wide so your weight sits through the whole hand, not just the wrists. Move as if you're underwater. No jerks, no corners. Imagine you're drawing a gentle C shape in the air with the back of your heart, then reversing it. If your neck feels tender, keep your gaze on the mat a few inches in front of your hands and let your head be the last part to follow the motion. If getting onto the floor is currently hard, you can put your hands or forearms on a sturdy table or kitchen counter and do the same wave in a standing position. The spine still learns. People often say they hear tiny pops as pressure shifts. That's simply gas bubbles moving in joint spaces, not bones out of alignment. The feeling afterward should be soft and warm, like oiling a squeaky hinge. If this is helping, take a moment to subscribe to Senior Vitality Pro and tell me your age or where you're watching from in the comments. I read them and shape future topics around your needs. It's the best way to make sure the next video answers your exact questions. We'll give some love to the joints that quietly set the tone for everything above them. The ankles and hips. Sit on your bed with one leg extended and the other relaxed. Slowly trace circles with your ankle. 10 in one direction, 10 in the other. Switch sides. Go slow enough that you feel the top of your foot, your heel, and your toes participate. Most of us lose ankle motion without noticing, and then the knees and hips pay the price by twisting to make up the difference. After ankles, lie back and draw one knee toward your chest with your hands. Keeping your pelvis heavy, trace small circles with that knee, like you're polishing a plate above your belly. 5 circles one way, 5 the other, then switch legs. You're not yanking, you're gliding the ball and socket joint through ranges walking rarely explores. In daily life, this translates to steadier steps, easier turns, and less catch when you get into a car or step off a curb. Small circular motions send a "we're still using this" memo to your brain. A tip for ankle circles. Lead with your heel to trace the first half of the circle, and with your toes for the second half. That helps include the whole joint rather than just wiggling your foot. If your calves cramp, back off the range and slow down. For hip circles, start smaller than you think. As the joint warms, you can gradually make the circle a little larger. If your hip clicks without pain, it's often harmless, a sign of tissues gliding and reorganizing. Pain is information to modify. Shorten the circle, add a pillow under the moving thigh, or imagine the motion happening deep in the socket rather than at the surface. These circles are a beautiful place to pair movement with gratitude. I've seen older adults do them while recalling 3 things that felt good about their day. The breath slows, the muscles let go, and by the time they're done, the body has one more reason to trust the night ahead. Now for the counterintuitive favorite, legs up the wall. It looks like a nap, but its effects can be surprisingly broad. Sit sideways beside a wall, lie back, and swing your legs up so your heels rest against the wall and your back is on the floor. Scoot your hips 6 to 8 inches away from the wall so your hamstrings don't complain, and let your knees soften. Place a folded blanket under your pelvis if it feels nice. Rest your arms by your sides with palms up, and breathe. Stay 2 to 5 minutes, or less if that's comfortable to start. Elevating your legs gently encourages fluid that pooled in your lower legs all day to drift back toward your center, gives your back a break from vertical compression, and invites your nervous system into rest and digest. Many people notice calmer legs at night, fewer middle-of-the-night trips out of bed, and a smoother wake-up when they do this consistently. It's simple, soothing, and for many, effective. If you have glaucoma, uncontrolled high blood pressure, significant reflux, or a history of circulatory or heart concerns, check with your clinician before trying this posture or use a gentler version, legs on a sturdy ottoman or a pile of pillows instead of straight up the wall. Your head should feel comfortable, your breath easy. If you sense pressure in your throat or your lower back tenses, adjust the distance from the wall or add that small hip lift under your sacrum. I encourage counting slow, even breaths. Feel your ribs widen sideways as you inhale, then soften as you exhale. Imagine a tide going out of your legs and a warm weight spreading across your back. When you're done, bend your knees, place your feet on the wall, roll to your side, and come up slowly. No rush. The goal is to leave your nervous system settled, not startled. Let's stitch the whole routine together so it's effortless to remember. Do the seated forward fold first to tease length through the back line. Then the lying twist to reintroduce gentle rotation. Follow with the cat-cow wave on hands and knees to articulate the spine segment by segment. Move to ankle circles and hip circles to wake up the hinges that set your foundation. Finish with legs up the wall to invite fluid balance and calm. In real time, that's roughly 12 to 15 minutes. Timing matters less than consistency. Doing these most evenings sends a steady signal to your body. We move, we breathe, we rest. Over a few weeks, gains in ease tend to show up not in a party trick, but in ordinary moments. Reaching down to tie a shoe without bracing, turning to back out of the driveway without a tug, stepping out of bed feeling less brittle. If you're thinking, I'm not getting on the floor, I hear you. Let's adapt. Do the forward fold seated on the edge of your bed with a pillow under your knees. Do the twist by lying in bed. Bend your knees and let them tip gently to one side, placing a pillow between your thighs. Do the spinal waves standing, hands on a counter, moving your spine through the same inhale arch and exhale round. Do ankle circles sitting and hip circles by marching your knee up and drawing tiny circles with your foot. Finish with legs elevated on a firm cushion or ottoman instead of the wall. The spirit of the routine is the message, not the exact shape. If kneeling hurts, pad generously. If shoulders are cranky, shorten lever arms. If breath gets tight, That's your cue to back off until it's smooth again. No gold stars for strain. Caregivers. This is a lovely ritual to do alongside a parent or partner. Keep the room warm, turn down bright lights, and add a familiar playlist at low volume. A consistent sensory environment signals the brain that it's time to shift states. Set a repeated order of movements so there's less to remember. Use the same folded blanket and pillow arrangement. Routine reduces resistance. For people with cognitive change, keeping the shape similar each night can lower anxiety and support better sleep. If a whole routine feels too much on a given evening, pick 2 movements. Something beats nothing. The body will meet you where you are. Over time, little signals add up. You might wonder, why before bed, not in the morning? Morning movement is wonderful, but evenings offer special advantages. As your core temperature drops and your sympathetic nervous system winds down, your tissues often feel more willing to lengthen. The breath naturally deepens when you're not rushing. Moving just before sleep can also reduce those micro-awakenings caused by stiff joints or restless legs. Another plus, your body does a lot of repair work at night. Gentle mobility beforehand helps fluids circulate and nutrients reach tissues that spent the day compressed. Think of it like brushing your teeth before sleep, but for your fascia and joints. You're setting up the conditions for a smoother overnight process. Let's troubleshoot common issues. If you feel pins and needles in a limb during a position, come out, shake gently, and re-enter with less range or more support. If your lower back consistently grips during the forward fold, bend your knees more and tip from your hips rather than rounding your spine. If wrists complain during the spinal wave, make fists, use yoga wedges, or drop to forearms. If knees feel cranky during the twist, add that pillow between the thighs and bring the knees closer to your chest. Closer is usually kinder. For hip circles, keep your pelvis heavy. If it rocks side to side, shrink the circle until your abdomen relaxes. For legs up the wall, remember, 6 to 8 inches away is friendlier than gluing your hips to the baseboard. Comfort invites repetition. Discomfort guarantees you'll skip it. Here's how to build the habit. Anchor the routine to an existing nightly cue. Brushing your teeth, turning off the TV, or setting out tomorrow's clothes. Keep the floor clear so setup takes seconds, not minutes. Use a small sand timer or a calming playlist that runs about 12 minutes to keep you consistent without checking a clock. Jot a 1-sentence note in a journal each night. Twist felt easier, or hamstrings tight today. That tiny reflection helps your brain notice progress and stay engaged. In 2 weeks, expect the movements to feel more familiar. In 4 to 6, people often report less morning stiffness, the return of small ranges they thought were gone, and a nudge toward deeper sleep. Progress rarely looks like a straight line. If you miss a night, you haven't broken anything. The next night is the perfect night to resume. Let's talk expectations. These movements are not a cure-all, and they won't rebuild cartilage or erase decades in a week. They can, however, improve how your joints feel, how your breath moves, and how your nervous system handles daily load. That's a lot. If you're managing osteoarthritis, gentle range of motion work paired with breath can reduce perceived stiffness, and elevating your legs can lessen that heavy, swollen feeling by bedtime. If balance has been a concern, keeping the ankles and hips curious, with circles, pointing and flexing, and slow ankle alphabet tracing, often helps. If your back feels like a stack of bricks, cat-cow and the twist are low-risk ways to invite motion back in without pushing flare-ups. Most important, consistency and kindness beat intensity and strain at any age. One of my favorite parts of this routine is how it shifts your relationship with your body. Many older adults have been told to be careful so often that they shrink their movements out of fear. Caution is wise, fear is paralyzing. These shapes are invitations to reoccupy your body with confidence. You begin to notice little wins. You roll over in bed without a grunt, tie a shoe without perching on a chair, or stand from the couch without pushing off your thighs. Let those wins count. Share them with someone. They reinforce the identity of a person who maintains themselves. In Japan, many elders treat nightly mobility like washing rice or tidying the genkin, small rituals that keep life smooth. I love that idea. We're not chasing a record. We're tending to a home you live in every day. If you're caring for joints that have been through a lot, replacements, injuries, arthritic changes, adaptation is not just allowed, it's celebrated. Use more props, shorten the time, switch the order if a certain shape calms you best at the end. If you're in a flare, pick the gentlest 2 movements and do them in bed. If you're having a buoyant day, linger a bit in the ones that feel especially nourishing. Track one meaningful measure: how easily you turn your head to check a blind spot, how smooth it feels to stand from a chair, or how your first 5 steps in the morning feel. Let that be your proof. Numbers on a chart matter less than your lived experience. Let's close the loop on that Tokyo image. The woman touching her toes didn't get there by chasing extremes. She likely showed up most nights, moved before sleep, and listened. She used supports. She breathed like it mattered. Over time, the nervous system learned that forward folding, rotating, waving the spine, circling ankles and hips, and elevating legs were normal, safe, even pleasant. That's the essence of healthy aging, practicing the movements you want to keep. Start tonight, or start again tonight. Lay out a blanket. Choose a song you love. Do one movement if that's all you have. Tomorrow, do 2. Your body is incredibly responsive to kind repetition, even in your 70s, 80s, and 90s. I'd love to hear from you. What everyday movement has quietly become harder? Getting up from the floor, fastening a bra behind your back, turning to look over your shoulder, kneeling to garden. Which of these 5 will you try tonight? Tell me your story in the comments. And if you're watching as a caregiver, tell me what adaptations help your loved one succeed. Together, we'll build a library of real-world tweaks that keep people moving with dignity. Thank you for spending this time with me. Sleep well, and give your joints that little bit of attention they've been asking for. Tomorrow morning, pay attention to how you get out of bed. You might find a little more glide and a little less fight.